Chapter 3. Location: Coos Bay, Oregon. Date: June 14. Gabriel Tuoer. Gabe stepped out onto the cabin porch. The trees swayed with the wind, as tormented as his own heart. The bushes moved with the restlessness of 100 Fenris. He heard the growls, saw flashes of shiny black fur. A few stepped from their cover, but they didn't attack. Gabe buried his hands deep in his pockets to keep them from shaking. No swords, no weapons. He either had something to offer Caden, or he didn't. The moon was a sliver of a fingernail that wasn't much brighter than the single star that kept it company in the northern corner of the sky. Caden Bachman stood in the clearing beside the driveway, sporting a three-piece suit, the picture of patience, of control. Gabe had fought him once before and lost, saved only by the death of Caden's loyal demon companion and the efforts of Gabe's brother, Vox. Vox had lost his life that night, and Gabe wasn't about to let the others in the cabin die for him. Vox had lost his life that night, and Gabe wasn't about to let the others in the cabin die if he could help it. There was something Caden wanted, or he wouldn't be holding his demon army at bay. Gabe stepped off the porch and approached Caden like an equal, like two pirates who had agreed to parley. Poetic that even the moon had company, while Gabe stopped 2 steps away from Caden, alone, a single spark of light in a future with nothing but darkness. Adura had foreseen the end, and she had wanted to stop it, to prevent the destruction of the Descendants, but then she disappeared. Gabe had continued with her plan, following every detail, but his doubts grew as his efforts felt more and more useless. How could he be sure Adura's plan would save them if she hadn't even been able to save herself? You. Why is it always you? Caden sounded more resigned than surprised. Because it's my duty, and my greatest desire to stop you from getting what you want. Gabe felt the heat of hatred flare in his chest. He faced the leader of the Triune, the man who had massacred the Descendants 100 years ago, the man who had taken Adura, the man who had killed his brother. The slightest movement from Caden and the Fenris would be released, but Gabe could barely hold himself back from attacking. What I want? Caden said. I want to be whole again, for me and the other demons to be filled. I want to stop the hunger that eats at our souls. The daggers will not give you relief, Gabe said. They don't have that kind of power. I know, but that doesn't mean it won't give me great pleasure to use the black dagger to finally kill the one who stands in my way. There are other ways to kill Descendants. Gabe glanced at the forest around them. The Fenris milled around each other, licking their teeth and scratching at the ground impatiently. You know that better than anyone. Killing Descendants one at a time with a dagger is hardly effective. Not effective, Caden said. His tongue felt along his own lips, like there was a leftover taste from a dinner he craved. Satisfying. You shouldn't lecture me about effectiveness, saving one unguarded at a time, thinking you're some kind of hero, like each life has a purpose beyond watching the world burn. I will take the daggers so that I can finish things my way. Your way will bring about the end, Gabe said. Even demons may not survive. Of course, Caden said with a note of bitterness. The guardian with the true heart. Even with your descendant missing, you fight to bring about a future that doesn't exist. Adura hoped for a better future than the one she saw. Gabe blinked away the blurriness in his eyes. Adura had hoped. He had to keep that hope alive. But she saw what was, what is, and what will be. You know better than to doubt the future Adura saw. She was never wrong. Why stand in my way? The daggers will come to me. Not like this, Gabe said. He had one card in his hand. Once played, he had nothing left up his sleeve. The Descendant only has one dagger left in her. The other was taken out that night. The white dagger that can permanently scatter a demon essence is safe from you. I am the only one who knows where it is. And you are willing to trade the location of the white dagger for what? Caden asked. Caden Bachman had built a technological empire to find the Descendant with the daggers in her DNA. He had taken Ellie and tried to rip the daggers from her bones, but he'd failed, only getting one dagger free and losing his best soldier in the process. Yet he was willing to bargain with Gabe for a dagger that ended the existence of his own kind, even with a dagger that could kill an immortal angel within his grasp. He wanted both daggers, but maybe there was something he wanted more. I will not give you the location of the white dagger. Ever. I'm here to offer something else. Besides, you don't want to use the white dagger against your own kind, but I would use it if you took the black dagger now. I would take your demon army out, one by one, hunting them down, using the blade to scatter their demon essence for all eternity, until there is no one left but you. It may be ineffective, but like you said, it would be satisfying. Caden stood with his thumbs looped through his vest, his hair short and combed to one side, like he'd cleaned up for a business meeting, not a kidnapping. If he was surprised or intimidated by Gabe's threat, his wax face showed no reaction, not even a muscle twitch. You know the daggers will come to me. She saw that they would, but not the timing. Gabe motioned to the Fenris, who had become so impatient they were nipping at each other. I have something else to offer, if you leave the daggers alone, for now. I will find them both eventually. You will. Gabe didn't bother arguing, but there are other paths that lead to the same end. Let us go, and then I will come to you of my own free will. A traitor. You will have your revenge on me before the final days, and then you will have a bargaining chip with the Veil. They have already put a price on my head. Caden's head tilted to the side. You are willing to give yourself up in order to leave the black dagger in the girl's arm? It will only be a small delay. Do we have a deal? After all these years, you are still trying to save one descendant at a time. You are too slow, too ineffective, but even knowing you can't win, you keep fighting. It's pathetic. Do we have a deal? Caden circled him. Gabe kept his eyes straight ahead, his shoulders back, his muscles tensed for a battle to the death if Caden rejected his offer. He stopped in front of Gabe, hands behind his back, a slight tilt to his lips, despite the fact that his face was emotionless as wax. You will come to me in 3 days. Willingly. You expect me to let you all walk away with your word only that you will come? No. Gabe put his hand into his pocket and pulled out the compass that Adora had given him when they'd bonded, 3 circles inside one another, a yellow, blue, and green marble resting on each loop, the compass that should have led him to her, the compass that was the key to his life as a guardian. You can keep this as collateral. Caden's mouth opened for a moment before the words came out. I could use this to kill you. Then all the knowledge I have would be lost, and you would be no better off. There was only a small pause. Then Caden reached out and took the compass from Gabe's palm. You have a deal. Gabe turned. The growls of the Fenris were already fading, the visible demons stepping back into the shadows. You never understood your own value, Guardian, Caden called after him. You won't stop anything by giving yourself up. You don't know what you've given me, or what you've sacrificed for a little more time. You made the right choice, Gabe called over his shoulder. Caden curled his fingers around the compass. And you will live to regret yours. Gabe stepped onto the porch and turned to survey the yard. The trees were still. The spot where Caden had stood was empty. The Fenris were gone. Treadon opened the door. What happened? Treadon asked. Where did they go? We were ready to fight, Ellie said. You should have let us come with you. Abigail stood behind them, her back against the kitchen counter, her arms folded. Her glare felt more intimidating than the horde of Fenris, a tingle of appreciation and sorrow for the woman that could never be his friend, his closest ally. Leaving her to face the world alone would be the hardest part. They're gone for now, Gabe said, not able to look Abigail in the eye. He focused on Ellie instead. Take one last look around. This will be the last time you see your home. Ellie moved toward the small staircase leading up to her parents' room. Treadon put out an arm. Let me go first, just in case. Ellie shoved his arm away and marched up the stairs without looking back. What did I do? Treadon asked. You tried to protect her, Gabe said. Treadon let out a frustrated sigh as he handed Gabe's sword back to him. That's what I'm supposed to do. It's literally my job description. And it's part of me in a way I can't explain. It's like every fiber of my being is pulling me to do whatever it takes to keep her safe. I know she doesn't want me to keep her from trying, but I can't help myself from protecting her. It's like I'm being torn apart. Gabe closed his eyes. his breath catching as he tried to fill his lungs. He swallowed and tried again. I know.